Find the approximate value of sine of 32 degrees. The first thing to do here is identify the x value that is being operated on. That will be the angle 32 degrees. The second thing to do is to identify the function that is operating on the x value and call it f of x. Since it's sine of 32 and x is 32, f of x is sine of x. The third thing to do is to identify a value a near the x value of 32 degrees that can be easily evaluated in the sine function. On the unit circle, the angle of 30 degrees is near 32 degrees and therefore will be the choice for A. Now that we have the x value and the a value, they will need to be converted to radians. It's very important with angles that it is in radians in order to evaluate correctly in the linear approximation. To convert to radians, each can be multiplied by pi divided by 180 degrees. The x value will become 32 times pi over 180. The degrees cancels from the numerator and denominator, so it will now be unitless, which is radians. And we can now reduce this as much as possible. Both are divisible by at least a 4. 32 divided by 4 gives 8. 180 divided by 4 gives 45. It's not reducible any further from there. For A, we have 30 times pi over 180. These are each reducible by 30, and this becomes pi over 6. From the function f of x, we will want to find the derivative f prime of x so that we can find the linear approximation. The derivative of the sine of x is the cosine of x. And f of x and f prime of x can both be evaluated at the a value of pi over 6. So f of pi over 6 will be the sine of pi over 6, which is equal to 1/2. F prime of pi over 6, which equals to the cosine of pi over 6, will equal to root 3 over 2. The formula for the linear approximation is f of a plus f prime of a times x minus a. In this problem, a is pi over 6. So this is f of pi over 6 plus f prime of pi over 6 times x minus pi over 6. We have values for f of pi over 6 and f prime of pi over 6 that can be put into place. So the linear approximation L of x will equal to f of pi over 6, which is a 1/2, plus f prime of pi over 6, which is a root 3 over 2, times x minus pi over 6. The f of 32 degrees is approximately equal to the L of 32 degrees. The f of 32 degrees will be the f of x with 32 degrees replaced in for x, so this will equal sine of 32 degrees. The L of 32 degrees will be the L of x with the x replaced with 32 degrees. However, we have to work in radians here, so this will also be able to be called L of 8 pi over 45. And we can replace x with 8 pi over 45. This will give 1/2 plus root 3 over 2 times 8 pi over 45 minus pi over 6, which is equal to 1/2 plus root 3 over 2 times, we need a common denominator between 45 and 6. That'll be 90. 16 pi over 90 minus, we have to multiply the top and bottom by 15. 15 pi, and 6 times 15 will give 90. So this will equal 1 over 2 plus root 3 over 2 times 16 pi minus 15 pi all over 90 will equal to 1 pi over 90. So the sine of 32 degrees is approximately equal to 1/2 plus, multiplying the numerators, root 3 pi over 2 times 90, which is 180. These can be combined together with a common denominator. So another way to write this would be multiply the 1/2 by 90 over 90, and it'll be 90 over 180 plus root 3 pi over 180. Combined together will be 90 plus root 3 pi divided by 180. Either of those answers is valid for the approximate value of sine of 32 degrees.